Hello guys, how are you all? Welcome back to my channel. So, today we are gonna see, what if Mount Lady had a crush on Deku the moment she saw him, Harem, part 5. So before we start, go check out the author of this fanfic Thickbo, link is in the description, also subscribe to our channel, and like this video, so let's begin the video. It was early in the morning of the next day. Izuku was on his way to the UA however, he wasn't alone. I don't need to be taken by the hand, you know. The pink-head, Mei Hatsune complained about her current state. I'm not a kid. Tell me that when I don't have to carry you like a potato sack out of school, Izuku responded while yawning in the process. Even after I gave you 4 hours instead of 2, you still didn't want to come. She pouted while looking away. Because those babies were for Mei muttered the last part so low that even his sensitive ears weren't able to hear it. You're acting like a kid right now. The catboy remarked, making her body flinch. That's why I'm doing this every day from now on, as a petition from your father. No, even in a marriage a wife needs time for herself. I like to do things my way. I don't need a babysitter. She said with a frown. As a response, Izuku took out his phone, showed her the keyboard, and pressed X with a doubtful face. Very funny, when did you become a comedian? Her sarcastic comment didn't even faze him. Well, I've been trying to be one ever since somebody gave me some advice. The words of Sir Nai were still fresh in his mind. Besides, even if your father didn't tell me, I was still going to do it. You tend to forget yourself when you're working. So, at least let me take care of you, let me be there and support you as the husband I'm supposed to be. He beamed at her with those last words. Hatsune still had her frown, but a faint tint of pink appeared on her cheeks. It was unfair when he said stuff like this. You're the one to talk about forgetting yourself, she muttered again as she squeezed his hand tightly. Midoriya responded by doing the same. A sad expression on his face. Sorry, he murmured. The couple finally arrived at their destination. It was fairly early so there weren't a lot of students at the entrance yet. I guess that's the escort for today, honey, Izuku said, playing with their fake relationship. Yeah, thanks. Then Mei leaned forward and kissed him on the cheek, taking him by surprise. That's a goodbye and good luck kiss from the wife. With a wide smile, she turned around and ran to school. However, before she made it far, her wrist was grabbed and pulled, forcing her to turn again. Being received by a kiss on her forehead. Then that's a do your best kiss from the husband. With the same smile she just gave him on his face, he passed her and jogged inside UA. Even after Izuku disappeared from sight, Mei still stood there. For the first time in her life, her face was of the same color as her hair. It was in moments like these that she realized how much she had changed, how much Izuku had changed her. Meanwhile, Izuku was on his way to his classroom. However, his cheeks were red and he was in panic mode. Why did I do that? Didn't I take it too far? No, but she also did the same. But what if this ruins the relationship we have? Okay, calm down, hello kitty. Nico's voice intervened. Breathe first and get a hold of yourself. The teen did just that. Great. Now, do you have an answer for all of this? No, but if things go south, the best course of action is communication and resolve things like civilized people and don't make conclusions without a proper understanding of the situation. He concluded with a relaxed sigh. Good, this is why you likes you. And to answer why you did that, it's maybe because of the confidence boost that Toga gave you. The feline deduced. What are you talking about? Toga hasn't done anything. He came to a stop as his finger moved and touched his lips and the sensation on his tongue where he was bit returned. Sigh, I'm really a teenager, aren't I? He said out loud. It was at that moment that his phone rang. It was from Death Arms. Hello sir. The boy answered. Hey, Midoriya, how are you? The pro hero asked. Great, though it is unusual for you to call me this early in the morning. Yeah, about that. I was wondering if you want to come with me to help me with some hero work. That was certainly unusual. Why him anyway? Ah, it's not something special, we just need an extra pair of hands. We? Who were the others? My agency, well, my sidekicks to be precise. This has nothing to do with fighting villains, so there's no real danger, and you don't need a pro hero license, so everything is all green. What do you say? I wasn't going to decline from the start, but thanks for your concern, sir. Izuku chuckled. Great, so I'll pass for you today after school. I'll give you the details then, you're probably in a hurry right now. See you later, kid. With that, the call ended. So that means I'm not going to train with Aizawa-sensei today. The teen talked with himself. Well, it didn't matter. The man looked mad yesterday, so he could use some rest anyway. On his way to his classroom, he ran into a classmate. Ah, Hagakure-san, good morning. Midoriya, good morning. The girl waved her arms profusely, she was pretty energetic even though it was early in the morning. Izuku smiled at her as they began to walk together. It was then that he noticed something. "Oh, you have a different hairstyle than yesterday. They both look good on you." He complimented her. It was hard not to do it when you've been indoctrinated by 3 aggressive pro-heroes. Midnight, Mount Lady and Uwabami were pretty scary when he didn't do it. Thank you so much. You have no idea how much effort I put into it." The girl forgot the meaning of personal space as she shouted right on his face. She was very excited. After Toru calmed down, they made their way to their classroom and waited for the class to start. Classes before noon were pretty normal with subjects like math or English. The expectations of everybody were declining by the second, except for Izuku, Momo or Tenya who gave their all in them. Thankfully for everyone else, lunchtime arrived. Izuku was already on the line, waiting to take his order. Though he was last, so it would take some time. The girl with thorny vines for hair passed behind him going to her table. Not that he noticed, Izuku was occupied fanboying a little over lunch rush. Until a unique and familiar aroma got to his nostrils. Sniff sniff he began to look around in desperation until he spotted a girl for whom the smell belonged. He rushed to her. Excuse me." "Yes." The girl turned around, her eyes widened in recognition of the catboy. How do I say this?" Izuku looked a little nervous while looking for an answer until it hit him. "This." He pulled out his lucky charm from his pocket. "My lucky charm. It smells the same as you, so I was wondering if you're the person who gave this to me." The girl was very surprised that he recognized her just from the smell. "Why yes, I was the one." When those words left her mouth, Midoriya's face lit up like the sun. "I've been looking for you for a long time too." He suddenly bowed from the waist. "Thank you so much." "Ah. Please, raise your head." She hurried him to do so, as she saw all the people looking at them. "I didn't do it for you to thank me," she clarified after he raised his head. "I'm honestly surprised you still have it." "Yeah, like I said, it's my lucky charm, it has saved me many times. It's like a blessing from the heavens," he said with a content smile, seeing the deteriorated crown he had tried to preserve it the best he could. He didn't see, however, the little blush on the girl's cheeks. She prayed for him the day she gave him the crown, but she never expected to be told that it was a blessing from the Lord. "Something wrong?" Izuku asked when he saw her standing still. "No, don't worry. I'm Ibara Shiozaki." The girl introduced herself, stretching her hand out. The catboy shook her hand. "I'm Izuku Midoriya." "I know," she answered. Yeah, an awkward smile appeared on his face, he's still not used to this. "It's strange though." Ibara tilted her head a little, not understanding where he was going. "We just met, but it feels like we're old friends." "That sounded weird, forget about it." "No. I feel the same. Maybe it was the Lord's will." Shiozaki smiled, feeling truly happy to be able to talk with him face to face. "Want to have lunch with me and my friends?" she offered. "Really?" She nodded. "Then, let me get mine." "Go ahead and sit with them, I'll find you when I have my lunch." With a nod of agreement, they separated. After getting his tray, Izuku went and looked for his new old friend. It didn't take him long. "Shiozaki-san." He called her, stopping next to her table. "Midoriya." She nodded. "They're my friends." She signaled to the other 4 people on the table. "Hey, I'm Yasetsu Uwase. Nice to meet you, man." A boy with spiky black hair, held upwards with a wide patterned headband on his forehead, spoke. "It's Tetsu. Nice knowing you, dude." A young man with messy gray hair and very thick eyelashes greeted me. For a strange reason, he gave a Kirishima kind of vibe. The other 2 Ibara intervened, seeing that the other 2 were a little quiet. "Hey, Midoriya." "Ananuki-san." Izuku greeted his fellow recommended student. "Yuzo is fine, man." The other people on the table looked surprised by their interaction. "So, I'm not the only one," the last person said. "Fancy meeting you here, Midoriya." "Monoma-san. You're here too. Thanks to those recipes, they were really good." Again, the others were taken aback by this. "Wait, this means all of you are from class 1B, right?" "Yeah, you're in 1A, I take it?" Juzo inquired. "Yes." "TSK." Monoma clicked his tongue. "Something wrong?" Izuku asked innocently. "Don't mind him, Midoriya. He's just jealous of class 1A. Or is an inferiority complex." A female voice came from the next table. "It's not like that, okay?" Nito defended himself until he noticed the friendly tone towards the catboy. They turned their heads to find Tendo-san. "Glad to see you here." Izuku greeted the ginger with a smile. Her table was occupied by only females. "Hold up, how many people do you know?" Tetsu asked with a sweat drop on his temple. "It's just a coincidence, I don't know a lot of." Midoriya's voice stopped mid-sentence as his eyes met the fidgeting and smiley Satsuna. Very slowly, Izuku put his tray on the table and took 2 steps backward. In less than a second, the girl was already over him giving him a hug. "Izuku," she shouted cheerfully. It was a good thing that he was prepared or else he would have fallen. "Setsuna, please. This is embarrassing," he pleaded with red cheeks. "I don't care." Tokage began to snuggle against his chest. "Sigh, this is what the doctor recommended. Are you two in a relationship?" Kendo was a little flustered with their interaction. "We're not in a relationship," Izuku hurriedly responded. "Yet." Setsuna finished, grinning mischievously. Midoriya's face exploded in a blush. "Please don't be like Toga. He prayed to whatever god was listening." "Just kidding," Tokage said with a giggle. The catboy let out a sigh in relief, though there was a little bit of disappointment there for some reason. The mischievous grin returned to her face. "Are you disappointed? Don't tell me you actually want us to be something," she continued with her teasing. "Need any help?" Juzo asked. "Please." Izuku pleaded, doing his best to hide his blush. The recommended student was able to separate them after a minute of struggle. "Hey. I still need more Irish punts," Setsuna replied with a frown. "Irish punts? What's that? And why does it sound like a star from a video game character?" Itsuka asked as a sweat drop ran down her temple. "Izuku energy points," Tokage answered. "Isn't that just an excuse to be all over him?" This time Monoma spoke. No, she's right." Surprisingly, Juzo backed up his hyperactive classmate on this. "You should at least try to pet his head. You'll feel a cozy sensation on the inside." "Let me try, then." Kendo got up from her seat. "Let's see what all this is about." Nito followed suit. One by one the others did the same. "Eyes? I'm not some kind of petter object." Izuku tried to speak to their common sense as he backed away little by little. They didn't listen. A few minutes later. Midoriya was on his seat next to Ibara, covering his face with both hands. "Is this what being objectified feels like? We're really sorry. Curiosity got the best out of us." Itsuka apologized to all of them. But Izuku take his hands off his face. "Not say that while you're still petting me," Izuku pouted, trying to look angry, but he just looked like a fuzzy kitten. Kendo finally noticed what she was doing, making her blush in embarrassment. I'm so sorry. I didn't know I was doing it." She looked at her hand. "This is bad. I could get addicted to this." The catboy looked at her with accusatory eyes. He also noticed how some of the other people were looking at his head, predatorily. "I'm going to charge money to anyone who wants to pet me," he said, trying to dissuade them. "Wouldn't that be prostitution?" Monoma asked with a bored look. Izuku gasped at the thought. Ibara gasped louder at the foul thought process of her classmate. "Hey Izuku. How much for your services?" Setsuna asked, trying to make her best impression of a lecherous old man. It genuinely scared the catboy. "Setsuna." Itsuka smacked her head. "Don't ask so openly." "No, that's not the problem here." The rest of her classmates thought at the same time. "I'll stop having lunch with you guys for a while," Izuku commented. This time it was Tokage's face that changed to one of complete fear. No. "I'm sorry. I'm seriously sorry. I won't do that again. But please don't go." She looked sincerely repentant. Even some tears were in her eyes. "Okay." Izuku gave her a genuine smile. "I want to protect that smile." The dark green-haired girl thought. She didn't know she wasn't the only one. "So, changing the subject. What's the problem you have with my class?" Monoma and Midoriya finally asked what was bugging him this entire time as he took a bite of his lunch. "It just bugs me how Class A is more privileged," the blonde answered while playing with his food. "Excuse me?" Izuku didn't understand. "I mean, when people think about the Department of Heroics, the first thing that comes to their mind is Class A. Not only that, but you guys are getting the class of Heroics today, while we're having it tomorrow. It's unfair. We're being treated like secondary characters or something," Nito explained. I see Izuku pondering about what the blonde just said. The teacher of heroics must be All Might. If that's the case, his time limit doesn't let him give 2 classes on the same day. He finally arrived at a conclusion. "Stupid, I know," Kendo interjected in the conversation. "He's just being nitpicky." "No, I get where he's coming from," Izuku said, surprising them both. "I'll see what I can do about it. I want everyone to get along." "Well, whatever you please, Midoriya." Monoma answered with a bored expression. He didn't believe in the catboy and thought that he was just trying to get some brownie points with his classmates. The catboy nodded happily. "It's just a waste of All Might's limited time if he just teaches the same twice when he could just teach it once to all of us. We could learn more this way too." It was a satisfactory conclusion. Lunchtime was over and Izuku was happy to, at least, become acquainted with half of Class B. Now it was time for the class of heroics. While everyone in Class A was waiting for the teacher, wondering who it was, they began to hear a familiar and boisterous laugh. I knew it. Izuku recognized it immediately, Kirishima also did. I'm here. Coming through the door like a normal person. All Might made a weird pose at the door. No normal person comes through the door like Izuku commented, making All Might almost tumble with the air. Young Midoriya, abstain yourself from ruining my gags from now on. One hero pointed at the catboy, a little irritated with him. I'm sorry. Izuku apologized while covering his mouth to prevent his laughter. Jiro on the other hand, couldn't. Which made Izuku follow him. All Might knows Midoriya? Kaminari questioned. I know everyone's name, young Kaminari. All Might dispelled the thought of a connection with his quirk candidates. Aspen fanboy. All Might knows me. The blonde couldn't believe it. I can believe he's our teacher. A student exclaimed in excitement. That costume design is from the Silver Age. Another commented. Off anyway. Foundational Hero Studies. For this class, we'll be building your hero foundation through various trials. The symbol of peace explained. Let's jump right in with this. He showed a card with the word battle on it. The trial of battle. Everyone grinned in excitement except for Izuku, who had his gaze lost, looking at an empty corner of the room. He looked around him, but no one seemed to notice. As his last resort, he looked at his own tail. There he found an ominous grin ember coming from the tip. He grabbed it, preventing anyone else from seeing it. Let's ignore it for now. And to go with your first battle, we've prepared the gear you requested to match your quirks. All Might pressed a button, showing briefcases coming out of the wall, surprising everyone with how fast they were made. Get change, and we're ready to go. Everyone gathers at Grounds Beta. At that moment, there was a knock on the door. Yes. It was a power loader. Yeah, I'm looking for Izuku Midoriya. Yes. Izuku stood up. I should have figured it was you. Come to the workshop of the support course after you've changed. Your gear is ready. With the message delivered, he left. Midoriya's eyes grew in realization. He now understood why Mei worked so hard these past few days. He had to thank her properly. The students of 1A were now on ground beta in their hero customs. I like everyone's style. Very cool. But it looks like young Midoriya is not here yet. Let's give him a few more minutes. With that, everyone began to talk with each other in the meantime. Your costume looks very manly, Bakugo. Kirishima initiated a conversation with the volatile kid. Whatever weird hair. The ash blonde decided to ignore him. Hey. Hagakure took the attention of the girls. What do you think about Midoriya? She asked with a happy tone. It was the second day and she was already talking about guys. Ashido didn't have a problem with this. Midoriya is super cool. I want to hang out with him and the others. The pink girl exclaimed. Midoriya-kun is very gentle with others, Ribbit. Sayu gave an approving nod. She based his character on how he treated her siblings. Yeah, Deku-kun is awesome. Uraraka smiled. But why the sudden subject about him? Jiro asked as she played with her earphone jack. Do you like him? Well, you see. Toru sounded very happy. He's been the only person who has complimented my new hairstyle today. So that was the reason. Good for you, Kyoka said with a smile. We didn't notice because she stopped in her tracks when she noticed the incongruity. She wasn't the only one. The rest of the girls also noticed it. They were frozen in a mental panic due to the current state of Hagakure and her costume. However, before they could say anything, everyone's attention went to the corridor when they heard footsteps. At last, the last student came into the light. Everyone just stared at him and his costume. The black full bodysuit with white stripes, resembling a tiger. If someone were to look closer, they'd notice the spots like rosettes on the black parts of his bodysuit that gave a clear impression of a black panther. His bodysuit was cut on the knees and shoulders, revealing the furred hind legs of his and the fair skin and muscles of his arms. Around his neck was a very thick furred collar of the same color as his own hair, helping to make the illusion of a lion mane. In his hands, he was wearing black fingerless gloves with cat pads on his palms. Like if all of this wasn't enough, he also wore a black kimono on top of his bodysuit. It was cut short on the waist and had the same design of his bodysuit, always open on the front and waving to the wind like a cape. However, there was something different on the kimono, something unique. At the center of its back was a white silhouette that resembled a cat wearing a kimono. Lastly, as a cherry on the cake, close to the tip of his tail was a golden ring with Egyptian hieroglyphs carved on it. His support gear consisted of a white utility belt, his ear protector that was upgraded by having attached dark glasses. Lastly, he was carrying a mysterious silver briefcase on his left arm. Dude. You look so manly. Kirishima was the one who broke the silence. You look manly too, bro. Izuku fist bumped the hardening boy. By the way, what's in that briefcase, Midoriya? A man in full armor asked. The catboy recognized the voice of Iida. Ah, Iida-kun, you look awesome. Thanks. And to answer your question, it's a secret. Izuku put his index finger on his mouth as he gave him a mischievous smile. Hey, Deku-kun, what's the silhouette on your kimono? Uraraka asked, holding said kimono from his back. Acha-chan, you look great in that suit. Thanks, though I'd wish I had specified a little more on my request, it came out a bit puffy. She said with a nervous grin while she rubbed the back of her head. The silhouette is, well, I call it a reverse kimono cat. He answered her question. What's that? She tilted her head in confusion. Don't worry about it. It's just an old superstition. He dissipated her confusion, waving hand. Meanwhile at the teacher's room, Aizawa was reviewing his students' costumes to know what they could do. A reversed kimono cat. He read out loud. What's that? President Mick asked as he was heading out for his next class. If I remember correctly, it's a very old superstition from before the era of quirks. It was said that when a cat was born with a black spot on its back that resembled a woman wearing a kimono, it meant that a human soul had reincarnated in the cat or that it had taken control of the cat's body. Shota finished his explanation. Man, you sure know a lot about cats. Mick commented with a teasing grin. Just shut up and go to your class. I'll do the same. With that, Eraser closed the file and prepared himself to do his job. Back to class 1A. Izuku was looking at everyone's costumes. Everybody looks so awesome. He said with a smile. You guys look like true heroes. He stopped mid-sentence when his eyes landed on Toru Hagakure. His eyes grew in shock at the same time that his face became crimson red. Kaya. He screamed at the top of his lungs, turning around, crouching, and covering his eyes with his hands. I didn't see anything. I swear. Okay. I saw it. But it wasn't my fault. He began to yell words at great speed. The male students looked at each other in confusion, while the girls' shock returned to their faces and realization hit them with full force. To make it worse, Hagakure was the only one who hadn't noticed. In the first place. Why is Hagakure naked? Izuku asked, still covering his face. And why does everyone seem okay with it? Bro, what are you talking about? Hagakure is invisible. Ijiro told his friend with a confused face. No, she's not. He looked at his brother with a frown. I can see her perfectly well. He pointed at her while turning his face, seeing her again, and turning immediately even more red in the face. Eituru was processing his words. You can see me, it was there, and then that she realized that he complimented her hairstyle this morning. How could he have known if she was invisible? Even yesterday when they first met, he shook her hand without hesitation, unlike Ijiro. And the way he seemed to look directly at her eyes. It wasn't an illusion, he could perfectly see her. Then she remembered her hero costume. What she was wearing, or better said, the lack of it. The invisible girl fell on her knees. Hagakure, are you okay? Momo asked, as she and the other girls surrounded her. They saw how liquid was formed out of thin air. They knew it was her tears. Meanwhile, Izuku was dealing with his own problems. If she's invisible, why can I see her? I might know the answer. Nico responded. Cats, dogs, and many other animals can see other spectrums of light that humans cannot, like ultraviolet light for example. So, she doesn't reflect the spectrum that humans can't see, making her invisible to the human eye, but for me, that's not the case. He got it quickly. But why do I see her like any other person? Shouldn't I see her in a different color or colors? I see you haven't noticed, Nico continued. Our quirk gives you everything that the felines have, but it doesn't take the advantages that humans have over us. For example, we can't taste flavors and only get them through our sense of smell. That's only one of the many reasons why our tongues are rough. But you can still enjoy your meals, right? Yeah, even after all this time, there's still a lot he doesn't know about his quirk. Please everyone. Calm down. Mike tried to regain control of his class. This is unexpected, but let's not make a big fuss about it. It's not that bad. Before he could end his sentence, the girls shot him a killing glare. He was being insensible again. The pro hero scolded himself for not learning anything since the first time he met Midoriya. A tug of his back took him out of his thoughts. Behind him, he found the rest of the boys using him as a shield for the girls' glare. The only ones that weren't there were Katsuki, Shoto, and Izuku. Girls can be pretty intimidating. I can never get married. Hagakure yelled, crying even more. The girls turned their attention to her, trying to comfort her. Yaoi Rozu made a mantle to cover her invisible body. Whereas Midori Jiro looked around with a scowl on her face, but immediately went silent. The rest of the girl looked at where the petite girl was looking. To their surprise, they found Midoriya in front of them with his forehead touching the ground perfectly. I'm sorry, he apologized. No, it wasn't your fault, Midoriya-kun. Sai spoke. I know. But even though there's no one at fault, Hagakure is crying because of me. He continued. And for a guy to make a cute innocent girl cry is unforgivable. So manly, Kirishima whispered from All Might's back. That's why, as compensation, I'll do whatever Hagakure wants. The catboy finished. The girls nodded in approval. Then Snifturu spoke again, a little calmer. If no one does, you'll have to marry me, she said. The girls nodded until the words registered on their brain. They looked at her with wide eyes and blush on their faces. The boys yelled as well. Understood. Izuku exclaimed with determination. All the class yelled at the same time. The situation escalated from 0 to 100 super quick, it was too fast for them. A few minutes later, when everything settled down. Off anyway, now that everyone has calmed down. Let's continue with the class, shall we? All Might continue with his duty. Teacher. Regarding the ground we're in right now. Would we be using robots like in the entrance exam? Tenya asked with his hand up. Not quite. We'll take an extra step. This will be an indoor battle trail. Statistically, more battles against villains take place inside of buildings. Any villain with intelligence is lurking in the shadows. The teacher explained. For this, you'll be separated between hero and villain groups. For a 2-on-2 team battle. The students began to bombard him with questions. Okay, listen up. All Might pulled a little paper with the instructions. The villains are guarding a bomb, and the heroes have to stop them. Heroes win if they capture the villains or if they make contact with the bomb for 3 seconds. Villains win if they capture the heroes or if the time limit runs out. Now, we'll be deciding the team and opponents by lottery. It's that really okay? Tenya asked in worry. In a real situation, you can't choose your teammates. When the life of others is at risk, you have to make the best out of any situation. I think that's what they're trying to teach us here. Izuku explained to his friend. I see. Always with our eyes on the future. I apologize. Let's begin. While the teams were being decided, Izuku was praying to the gods. Don't put me with Hagakure. Don't put me with Hagakure. Don't put me with Midoriya. Don't put me with Midoriya. Toru was doing the same. Team A. Katsuki Bakugo and Shoto Todoroki. Team B. Achako Uraraka and Tenya Iida. Team C. Minoru Mineta and Ejiro Kirishima. Team D. Izuku Midoriya and Momo Yaoi Rozu. Team E. Mina Ishido and Yuga Aoyama. Team F. Koji Koda and Rikido Sato. Team G. Denki Kaminari and Kyo Kajiro. Team H. Fumikage Tokoyami and Tsuyu Asui. Team I. Masahiro Jiro and Toru Hagakure. Team J. Mizo Shoji and Hanta Siro. Now, the first 2 pairs to do combat will be. Again, Izuku and Toru were praying to not face each other, however, this time there was another person praying. He was even on his knees. It was Ejiro Kirishima. Team A will be the heroes. And then D will be the villains. Itsuki smiled evilly, knowing he had an opportunity to crush Deku. Yes. Yet the happiest among them was Kirishima. I don't have to fight Izuku. Thank you God. Hey. What's that supposed to mean? Izuku was a little offended by that. Screw you, man. I haven't forgotten that time at the gym. Ejiro said a little pissed. What? But you told me to go all out. It's your own fault. The catboy retorted. I know, but how could you do that to me, man? Kirishima began to sob. Crybaby, Izuku said with a derogatory look on his face. Ejiro flipped him off. By now, everyone was extremely curious about whatever the hell they were talking about. Okay. In this scenario, the villains will go in first, and 5 minutes later the heroes will move. The rest of the students will watch the confrontation with me from a control room. All Might gave the final explanation. It'd be better if the villains got into their character to give this exercise a little more realism, however, if things go too far, I'll stop the match. He then stared at Midoriya, waiting for something. So, I can go full villain. Izuku pondered over the idea. Yep, I'm so glad I'm not against him, Ejiro commented. No, like that, there's still something missing. Izuku talked with himself, making the other students look at him weirdly. He laughed like a maniac, startling everyone. What do we have here? 2 new chew toys for me? He looked at Bakugo and Todoroki with a sickening grin. Master, you're too kind. He turned to Yaoi Rozu. Well, heroes. Please make this worth it and don't break so easily, will ya? The nasty expression of a crazy villain was plastered on his face. Even though they knew he was just acting, the rest of the students took a step back. I wonder if making him a villain was a good idea. All Might thought a little scared of the catboy. Ah, you're looking down on me, shit-face. Katsuki answered in kind. A smirk appeared on Izuku. This is going to be too easy. Todoroki frowned at his words. He then took Momo's hand and began to walk inside the building. Let's go, Lady Yaoi Rozu. We need to prepare the fireworks. Momo was completely lost in all of this. Yes. The catboy looked over his shoulder one last time. Come if you think you can stop us, heroes. With that, he was gone. Whistle, that was pretty scary. Denki was the first to break the silence. But that was so cool. Don't you think so? Mina asked the group, receiving some nods. I guess that's what you'd expect from an actor, Zero spoke with an uneasy smile. I like the Old Spice one. Sato continued the conversation. They began to move to the control room, leaving the hero team. The last person to go was Kirishima, who stared at the two contestants. They stared back. Give your best. He said with a thumbs up and a smile, then ran behind the others. Inside the building. Sorry, did I scare you? Izuku asked with an apologetic smile. It was a little unexpected, I have to admit. Momo nodded. But leaving that aside, do you have a plan? Yeah, but let's both share our ideas. They arrived at the room with a bomb. After a few minutes of planning. It's that even legal. Yayoi Rozu was a bit worried about what her partner was suggesting. Can we do this, All Might? Izuku asked over his transceiver in his ear. I'll allow it. There you have it. It's okay, though I don't know if I have enough lipids in my body to do this. The mature girl informed me. Oh. Izuku kneeled and opened his briefcase. Will this help? He tossed her a bar of chocolate. Yes thanks, but why do you have chocolate in there? She was even more confused. Reasons. He answered with an innocent smile. Meanwhile in the control room. So, who do you think is going to win? Uraraka asked the girls. This is hard. Mina was thinking too hard. Both teams have a recommended student and a first place in the entrance exam, Jiro commented, bringing up a good point. So, they don't know Midoriya took the recommended exam as well. Well, I'm not going to be the one to spoil it. They're also the top 4 in the quirk apprehension test from yesterday, Tenya spoke, moving his hand robotically. This is too hard. Mina yelled, already giving up. Hey, Team C, you look too serious over there. Who do you think is going to be the winner? The villains, of course, Mineta answered without hesitation. You're just saying that because a girl is in the team. Denki accused. Hey. You're right, but it's also because Midoriya's in it. The midget responded without a trace of shame. You weren't there in the entrance exam to see him play with the robots. Aoyama nodded in agreement. Play? The students questioned. Hayashido approached her friend. Why so serious, Horn Buddy? She asked Kirishima. It just makes me uneasy to see him fight, he answered. Why? It's just too unmanly. That put her on alert. For him to say something like that about his best friend. Now she was even more interested to see how things would play out. At the same time outside the building. Just don't get in my way, half and half, Kitsuki warned his partner. Deku is mine. The same goes for you. Don't interfere with mine. Shoto responded. Before the explosive team could retaliate, All Might's voice echoed in their ears. Begin. Wait outside for a few seconds. The boy with heterochromia warned his partner. You don't give me orders. The ash blonde teen ran inside without a single care, making his fellow hero sigh in exasperation. A few moments early with the villains. Hey Yayoi Rozu. I know more or less what Bakugo is going to do. But what do you think Todoroki-kun will do? Izuku asked his partner. Good question. She began to ponder about it. Let's see, he has a strong ice quirk, which he only uses to prove something to his father who he despises. The cat boy began to analyze the information he had about Endeavor's son. He wants to show off to prove the strength of his quirk, and the best way to do that is to Ono.he came to a conclusion. Yayoi Rozu, watch out. He ran to his partner with a worried face as his whiskers caught a chilly sensation. In just a second, the entire building was covered in ice. All Might and Ijiro were trembling in the control room. Is it over? The Redeed asked. In the monitor they could see how at the same time the building was frozen, Midoriya was in midair with Yayoi Rozu in his arms. That was too close. Izuku put the girl down. You're okay? Yes, Momo answered, trembling while hugging herself. The air was too cold and she had too much skin exposed. However, before she could say something else, she was embraced by the gentle texture of Izuku's kimono. This should help a little. He said, making sure she was completely covered. But, aren't you cold now? She was grateful for the gesture, but this didn't solve anything if he was cold now. Smirk, I have this kimono to warm those who need it. That's all. It's good that the first person I use it on is a beautiful maiden. She blushed a little with his words. Besides, this temperature is like a walk in the park for me. A snow leopard or lynx can endure worse than this. He only uses winter clothes just to not discomfort people around him. It would be weird if he walked in a tank top in midwinter. Now, I guess it is time I go and greet our guests. He pulled something from one of the pockets of his utility belt. But before I go, you can have this. The catboy put an item on his partner's hands. The screen. She tilted her head seeing the crystal screen the size of a phone. To answer her curiosity, he touched the ring on his tail, lighting up the screen. There she saw herself looking at said screen. Momo connected the dots, figuring out that there was a camera in Izuku's lenses. I won't be able to communicate while fighting, so I trust you to make the right call with the information I'll be providing you. While giving her a smile, he began to walk away. I'm going now, Lady Aoi Rozu. His act of a villain came back. Midoriya. Yes. That's the window. I know. And we're on the 3rd floor. I know. With that, he was gone. After a few seconds of silence in the room, Momo shook her head, trying to ignore the eccentric partner she had ended with, and began to prepare her part of the plan. Shoto Todoroki walked inside the building without any hurry to complete the trial. He trusted that his opponents were bound to the floor with ice. Not too far from the entrance, he found the explosive boy frozen like his enemies should be. What the fuck did you do, shithead? The ice didn't deter a little bit of his personality. I freeze the building. I told you to wait outside for a little while. Shoto didn't look intimidated by the blonde's attitude. This shit is gonna mess with my quirk, fucktard. If this messed up his fight with Deku in some way, this Zuko knockoff was dead. That doesn't matter. They both froze like you anyway. While Todoroki said that, he kneeled and defrosted the ice around Bakugo and adjusted his corporal temperature to normal. What did you say? The ash blonde grabbed his partner by the collar of his costume. Then you let him free so I can crush him. Got it. The bicolored haired teen slapped the hand away. I don't know and don't care what your quarrel with Midoriya is. But I'll let him free when I'm close to retrieving the bomb, so you can be quiet already. As long as you get it shitty half and half. But that settled down, they walked to the next floor. They weren't in a hurry, their enemy wasn't going anywhere. The villains weren't on the 2nd floor either, so they made their way to the 3rd. The duo didn't talk to each other. They didn't have anything to talk about. So, what are you going to do if they're not frozen? I'll just freeze them whole, Shoto answered. And what are you going to do when you encounter Deku, Bakugo? Blow him to Kingdom Come and show that shitty nerd his place. When Katsuki answered, the hero team noticed that those questions weren't made by their partner. Turning their heads, they found a smirking Izuku walking in between them. The pair was shocked by how neither of them noticed the catboy until now. You two are pathetic. His smirk grew wider, putting the Cheshire Cat to shame. Without a word, Katsuki swung his right hand with an explosion ready. Shoto did the same. The catboy dodged, jumping backward. When the smoke was gone. The ice armor on Shoto's left hand was gone and now had a small burn in its place. Katsuki, on the other hand, had his whole left leg frozen. Izuku began to giggle. Watch it, fucker. Yelled Bakugo, breaking the ice on his leg with an explosion. You're in the way, idiot, Todoroki answered with cold anger. I'm the one who's fighting Deku. The blonde retorted. You clearly were too slow, just like your brain. You're D. The laughter of their enemy stopped them from attacking each other. Don't laugh at me, you fucking bastard. When Katsuki turned around to see the catboy, he was surprised by not finding anyone there. D and Shoto looked around, but the catboy was nowhere to be seen. You fucker let him get away. The blonde blamed his partner. It's your fault. If you weren't so loud and obnoxious. While they discussed a bit more, in the control room, the students were a little confused. Shouldn't they start to look for the bomb? Sato asked his classmates. I guess this is what happens when there's no communication between partners, Jiro commented. To think that some of the tops of our class would get stuck with something so simple. Tenya shook his head in disapproval. It's not something simple. People are sometimes too self-centered, and if things don't go how they expected, the situation is bound to become chaotic. All might begin to explain. What's worse, it's that those people can't see their mistakes, so it's hard for them to change and correct themselves. And well, this was just a bad pairing for those two. However, this is the best opportunity for them to learn. All of you should learn from this as well. That's why you are all here. Oh, as expected of the number one hero. Ida exclaimed in awe. The other students had the same reaction. Haimina's voice grabbed their attention. She was sweating bullets and her expression was of a scared child. What's that? She pointed at one of the screens. Following her finger, the student froze when they saw what she was talking about. They saw Izuku stuck to the ceiling with his claws, and the evilest grin they had seen was plastered on his face. The catboy was just above the pair of heroes. And it has begun, Ichiro said. The kinda looks like Patrick about to drop on SpongeBob though. Everyone turned their heads very slowly to look at Kaminari. After an awkward silence they looked back at the screen. You're right, Achako was the first one to agree. Now the catboy looked silly instead of threatening. Great, you ruined the situation with a meme, Kyoka complained about. I couldn't help it, okay. The electric boy defended himself. Whatever, fucker. Katsuki ended the dispute and walked away. I'm going to look for Deku. I'm going for the bomb. Shoto walked in the opposite direction. Before they were too far away from each other, Izuku landed between them with all the grace of a feline without making any sound. The two heroes felt how someone grabbed their ankles. And soon enough, the duo was being pulled through the corridor at high speed. The only thing they could do was to brace themselves and endure the pain of bouncing against the ground while trying to figure out how Izuku got to their backs. Finally, they were thrown into a room, the farthest from the staircase to the next floor. I don't think you understand that we're not done playing. Heroes.The duo recovered from their little trip to see the smugness on Izuku's face. Let's have more fun together. As he said that, Midoriya disappeared behind the doorframe. At back here, Deku. Bakugo got up with his explosions and propelled himself to the doorframe with them just to find out that the shitty nerd was gone again. He looked up at the ceiling figuring that it was how he got them before, but this was not the case. Fuck, stop running away and face me. That's not manly at all. Kirishima scolded, disapproving of his brother's methods. So, he's just running away, Zero commented, a little disappointed. It's a valid approach to try and make them waste time, ribbed. Sayu analyzed with her index finger on her cheek. But you would expect from Midoriya, she trailed off. Don't act so cowardly. Fumikage finished her sentence. Uraraka frowned sadly, seeing how all the courage the catboy showed in the entrance exam wasn't there anymore. It looks like he's not letting us get away. Shoto came out of the room. This probably means that the bomb is most likely to be on the next floor. Let's stick together for now. Itsuki growled in exasperation. He was already in his boiling point, but he had to comply for now. They ran to the staircase. And why would I face you head on, Bakugo? They froze when the voice came from behind them. Turning around, they saw the catboy coming out of the room they just left. How he disappeared and appeared like that was getting on their nerves. However, the class in the control room saw how he went outside the building through a window and entered through another without a single care that it was the second floor. Bakugo launched himself immediately, refusing to let him get away this time. Wait, Todoroki tried to stop him, but the explosive teen wasn't listening anymore. When Kitsuki was close enough, he swung to his right. Without breaking a sweat, Midoriya grabbed it and slammed the teen against the floor. You're too predictable, idiot. Always starting with a right swing. The catboy looked at the explosive boy unimpressed. That's what you want. He stopped his mockery when the sound of ice coming for him reached his ears. He jumped, dodging the attack, and bounced from one wall to the other, using Gran Torino's technique to close the distance with his other opponent. He landed gracefully on top of Shoto's head, forcing him to kiss the floor. So, you can't freeze me whole. What's next? He asked with his right foot still on top of the bicolor boy's head. And don't tell me you didn't have a better strategy than to overwhelm me with raw power. Shoto gritted his teeth. If only you had something like your father's quirk. Isn't that too bad? Hey, doesn't this look very bad for the hero team? Mina asked, a little scared. Midoriya is taking his role as a villain very seriously, Tenya commented. Such dedication. His role has nothing to do with it. Everyone looked at Kirishima. This is how he actually fights. Tricks, attacking from behind, hit and run, and we can't hear what they're saying, but I bet he's saying unmanly things to them so they get angry and make mistakes. He wants to get under their nerves. He clenched his fist. Why? Uraraka asked, a little shocked. Because a hero cannot afford to lose for the sake of everyone else. That's why he'll do anything to come out victorious. Ijiro finished. It wasn't like he didn't get it, he just didn't approve of it. Shut up. Shoto yelled, triggering his ice quirk. Izuku jumped away, avoiding it. Now, a part of the corridor was covered with a huge chunk of ice. Yet the catboy smirked, noticing the frostbite on his opponent's body. Damn it. Is he working for my stupid old man to force me to use my left side, Todoroki thought in frustration. I'm sorry, Todoroki-kun. It leaves an awful taste in my mouth to use your family issues. Izuku thought, though his facade didn't break. But if you continue like this you won't get far. Better hit a wall now rather than later. Deku. Kitsuki yelled as he came flying, angrier than before. The green head moved his hand to catch the incoming right swing, however, the ash blonde used an explosion to get at his back, preparing an explosion. Izuku just moved backward, passing the explosive hand over his shoulder and avoiding the attack. He then grabbed the arm and slammed Bakugo against the ground again. Refusing to let it end like last time, Kitsuki propelled himself from the ground and then rotated with his explosions while swinging a kick. Seeing it coming from miles away, Izuku caught the kick and then grabbed the explosive boy by the throat and then slammed his body against the wall without letting go, finishing it by connecting a heavy blow with his knee on the stomach of his former bully while suffocating him. You seriously thought that by changing your movements a little, you could catch me off guard? I was waiting for it. I'm not stupid to think that you fall for the same trick twice. Damn, I thought Bakugo got him for a second there. Denki broke the silence. Midoriya read him like a book, Jiro commented. I know that he has a nasty attitude, but I feel a bit sorry for Bakugo, Hanta said to his partner. Shoji nodded in agreement. You know. They kinda look like Itachi choking Sasuke. Kaminari broke the atmosphere. Can you stop with your references, Kyoka yelled at him. Maybe next time try something you'd never do. You could have an opportunity then. Midoriya smirked in mockery. Now, get out of my face. He threw the foul-mouthed boy away as he looked at where Todoroki was supposed to be. However, the bicolor team had already disappeared, making a run for the stairs the moment Bakugo grabbed the catboy's attention. He seriously thinks he can outrun me? Smirked. After running many corridors and turning many corners, the stairs were finally visible for Shoto. I'm going to get the bomb and be done with this. He thought, yet, when he stepped on the first stair, a hand grabbed his shoulder. Slow down there, Buckaroo. The next thing he knew was that he was flying back to the corridor. Leaving your partner back there to his own fate, it's not what a hero would do, Elsa. Izuku stood on the way to the stairs. SIGH, I guess trying to stop a bomb is a good reason though. If only you could run faster. Get out of my way. Shoto hissed through his teeth. You two really don't get it, do you? Izuku scratched the back of his head, he wasn't even fazed by his attitude. Either way, you shall not pass. My master is on the third floor guarding the bomb, and I rather she doesn't get her hands dirty. She has to stay pure, so I'll do everything for her, even if I have to drown this world in blood for her to be happy. Wow, that was so edgy, I almost got cut. And I'm dead. Nico's words embarrassed him a little, though his facade didn't falter. Don't make me the mastermind. Momo yelled through the transceiver, a little red in the cheeks. Todoroki clenched his fist. He was trembling, not due to his quirk, but for the fury he had. He didn't even notice that his ice armor was starting to melt. Get back here, Deku. Kitsuki yelled from a corner, barely staying on his feet while holding his stomach. Izuku just made a motion with his hand for him to get away, like if he was some kind of pest. By the way, you're melting. Shoto was shocked, was he using his left side unconsciously? He ran at his opponent and began throwing punches and kicks. The son of the N2 hero was running out of options, and the frustration didn't let him think straight, but if he could just touch Midoriya, all of this would be over. Unfortunately for him, Izuku dodged every single one of them easily. Don't look down on me. You fucking nerd. Bakugo exploded, launching himself at his target. Izuku grabbed Shoto's left wrist, while a smug grin appeared on his face, knowing Shoto wouldn't use his fire. Although Todoroki knew what he was up to, it was already too late. Midoriya swung the bicolored boy like a flail to intercept the ash-blonde team, throwing both of them away. No, I'm done with this. You're simply not worth my time. Izuku shook his head in disapproval, though the smug in his face betrayed him. I'll show some mercy, so get out of here and bring a real hero. The duo was at their limit in the rage department with his bullshittery. Bring someone like Lemillion or Suneater. Though I have yet to see Amajiki Senpai in action. I know. Bring me Endeavor. Shoto was the most affected by that. He has your quirk. Izuku pointed at Todoroki. And your attitude. He then pointed at Kitsuki. But at least he gets things done. It's like the two of you in one, but better. The two heroes gritted their teeth so hard they could break. The duo got up, ready to attack, yet they were halted in place when they felt a huge amount of bloodlust. I can't be clearer than that. The cocky tone was gone from Izuku's words. A shadow, now casted on his face, made his glare even more threatening. If you can't stop me in your next attack, I'll end this game right here, right now. I'm done giving you more chances. Back in the control room. All Might smiled when he heard Midoriya's words. I guess they can't win, huh? Denki asked his classmates. Those two were so outclassed that it wasn't funny anymore. That's not the case. Not at all. All Might answered. They can win by doing one thing only. And that is? Zero asked, a little exasperated that he let them hang like that. This trial is one of combat, but the second exercise is teamwork. That's why you were placed in couples. The students felt dumb, it was so simple, and they never considered it. And I believe young Midoriya is aware of this, and it's actually forcing them to do it. What? Why? Jiro asked, freaking out at the catboy's decision. Wasn't that counterproductive? I'm not so sure. You'll have to ask him after the match is over. But he just said this was their last chance. If those two don't work together, it's over. It honestly was evil. Izuku created discordance between those two and then forced them to do the opposite. If they were truly strong, they'd get it, but still. The symbol of peace couldn't help but smile nervously. Now he understood why Aizawa was so wary of Izuku. Second day, and he's already testing the resolve of his classmates. God damn it, Mina heard her friend Ijiro. She found him with a big grin on his face. Don't be manly and unmanly at the same time. It's freaking disgusting. In contrast with his words, his grin refused to fade away. Just get out and don't waste my time. Izuku had the audacity to turn around and give them his back, walking to the stairs. Am I being too harsh on them? You already said it. Better for them to get stuck now than in a real situation. Nico reassured him. The duo was frustrated. This was the first time any of them felt that way. How's fucking Deku so strong? Bakugo yelled in his head. No more opportunities, so you were just playing then, Izuku's words echoed in his head. Maybe next time try something you'd never do. Shoto was having similar thoughts. Why are you getting in my way? I have to show that old man his place. What do I have to do to win? You two don't get it, do you? Izuku's voice came to his mind. It's like the two of you in one. Their eyes widened as the realization hit them like a truck. Bakugo Todoroki called his partner. Yeah, he already knew. Izuku turned around when he heard footsteps coming for him. A grin appeared when he saw the two heroes coming for him at the same time. I told you, no more games. He rushed to meet them. Shoto created a wall of ice just in time to stop his advance. Then Katsuki blew it with a big explosion, blinding the catboy with the smoke and the ice fragments. From the smoke came Todoroki's right hand, ready to freeze him. Izuku was able to back away, however, his stomach was already covered with ice. A simple swipe of his claws was enough to get rid of it, though the damage was already done. When the smoke cleared out, it showed a grinning Bakugo and a focused Todoroki. The ash blonde launched himself with explosions, while the bicolor teen sent a wave of ice forward. The green head jumped, beginning to bounce from wall to wall, meeting Bakugo in the air. Yet, with a quick turn, Izuku bounced from the ceiling, passing his middle school bully. Fuck, he's going for half and half. He changed his directions immediately. Todoroki wasn't able to see it, so he made a prediction. He created ice stalagmites on his back. Izuku was forced to jump away. However, he was grabbed by the arm. Using explosions to gain speed, Bakugo slammed Midoriya against the floor. It felt good to return the favor, but he knew that it wasn't enough to stop the catboy, so he held his left arm, aiming at the floor. Izuku jumped away in time to avoid the explosion. Oh! Katsuki yelled as he assaulted his opponent with a barrage of explosions, forcing him to back away. Todoroki didn't think twice and made a run for the stairs. As he ascended to the next floor, he clogged it with ice, making it extra thick so he couldn't be followed. Now it's only you and me, Deku. And what makes you think you're a match for me without your partner? The cocky Izuku was back. Well, I won't knock you down immediately for making this a little more interesting. I'm done with that. Katsuki held his right arm in front of him. You already know about my brace, right? Fucking stalker. Bakugo, my boy, stop this, All Might ordered, already knowing where this was going. You'll kill him. If I don't hit him, he won't die. Bakugo was moving his hand closer to the pin when Izuku suddenly appeared in front of him, holding both arms away from each other. No one is going to wait for you to do it, Allahu Akbar. Izuku aimed his knee at Bakugo's stomach, but the ash blonde blocked it with his own. He couldn't respond to the headbutt though. Next time, save your words and just do it. Izuku walked away. Get back here. Katsuki, disoriented, yelled from the ground. As I promise, I didn't knock you. But don't bother coming anymore. He didn't look behind. Let's not rush. Yaoi Rozu can stop Todoroki while I get there. My stamina is a little low, so let's take it calmly to get there. Itsuki saw Deku jump from a window to the next floor. Don't you dare look down on me. Bakugo only saw red now. Todoroki kept running. Bakugo is not going to last long against Midoriya alone. I need to find the bomb quickly. Midoriya said it was on this floor. He stopped when he heard a noise coming from a room nearby. The bicolor teen moved quietly next to the entrance and took a glimpse of what was inside. There was Yaoi Rozu with the bomb. Now, what do I do to deal with her? He asked himself. Todoroki should be here soon. Momo deduced, creating a metal pole. Everything is ready anyway. She stared at the entrance, ready for anything. She had used the last of her reserves of lipids with that pole. Now, she had to gamble everything on Midoriya's plan. Everything is ready. Trapped Shoto pondered on the possibilities. All Might, how much time do I have left? He whispered. A minute and a half. It was the response. Damn it. We wasted too much time with Midoriya. He cursed. No point in thinking about it. I'll just overwhelm her and everything she throws at me. With that decided, he rushed into the room. And just at the entrance, he felt how a thin thread broke with his feet. Ume cannon placed in a corner fired a capturing net, hitting its mark, holding his arms against his torso. Momo was already running at him with her pole ready. Todoroki froze the net and broke it. However, he was blinded by the kimono thrown at his face, allowing Yaoi Rozu to connect her first hit at his side. The girl kept attacking. Don't let him think. She thought. Soon enough, her superiority in close combat began to shine, until Todoroki finally managed to catch the pole with his right hand. Momo didn't have any other option than to let go of the pole, avoid the incoming ice through it, and jump away to dodge the ice coming from his leg. Unfortunately, she slipped with the ice from when Todoroki froze the building, falling hard. She tried to get up, but ouch. She twisted her ankle, making her unable to get up. She still tried though, but it was of no use. Damn it, Midoriya wouldn't be taken down so stupidly. Just stay there, Todoroki advised, as he walked to the bomb. Shouldn't you be in a hurry to retrieve the bomb? Midoriya's voice whispered into his ear, sending chills down his spine. With a hit to his side, Shoto was sent flying to a corner, away from the bomb. You have some nerves to hurt my lady Yaoirozu, punk. He extended his claws. The price for that is your blood. Before he could finish, Katsuki came flying from a window. Without any word or care, just as he landed, Bakugo pulled the pin of his grenade brace, aiming at Deku. Move, Nico yelled, knowing very well that the catboy could dodge it. Not happening, Izuku answered, knowing that Momo was at his back. He just pulled something from his mane and threw it at the ash blonde. Whatever it was, it passed next to Katsuki's left cheek. Ha. Miss me, you fucker, now die. Boom. Due to their long fight, there was a lot more sweat stored in the brace, which created an explosion that blew up half of the building. Bakugo was shot backward because of the recoil. He was surprised at the moment he hit the wall, something soft was there to catch him. An airbag. But how the fuck? Then he remembered the moment Izuku threw something at him. That fucker protected me from my own attack. Momo was terrified. She had closed her eyes in fear while she braced herself. Now that the explosion had ended, she didn't feel pain anywhere except her ankle, which was a good thing, though she felt that something was holding her tightly. Are you okay, my lady? Izuku's voice made her eyes shoot wide open. She found herself in his embrace, in between his legs. He was the perfect shield. Momo looked at him in shock, as he just looked back with a tender smile on his face. In front of them was a huge hole where half of the building should have been. Lady? Izuku asked again when she didn't answer. I'm fine. She barely said due to her shock. The extra light in the room made Midoriya look different in her eyes. I'm glad. He gave her a bright smile. But her lack of response worried him. There's something wrong? I thought that back there I was going to. Her eyes began to water a little. Ah, yes, it was pretty scary, right? Izuku put her against his chest with a hug while rubbing her shoulder. Don't worry, I'm here for anything you need. I'll keep you safe, my lady. Even if I have to put my life in the line, I will always keep you safe. Even though Momo knew it was just an act, she grasped his suit tightly. This isn't what I was expecting. Izuku looked over his shoulder when he heard Shoto's voice. The bicolor teen was now next to the bomb. But I'll take it. He placed his left hand over the weapon. 3, 2, 1. The smirk appeared on Midoriya's face. Villain team wins. All Might's announcement shocked everyone. What? The students in the control room shouted at the same time. But the hero team got the bomb. Denki stuttered, not understanding the situation. The rest nodded in agreement. Let's hear it from them. Shall we? All Might turned the speakers on so they could hear the teams. I lost to Deku. Bakugo still couldn't believe it. But I, Todoroki, was in the same situation. They both looked at Izuku, who was now carrying Momo bridal style. Isn't my master just the best? He rubbed his cheek against Yaoirozu's forehead, making her squint her eyes cutely like a baby. The bomb you got is a counterfeit created by Lady Yaoirozu's quirk. The real one is on the 5th floor in a dark room where only someone with night vision can defend it. And with my glasses, you don't get to see my glowing eyes anymore. There are also a bunch of traps like that cannon on the 4th and 5th floor. But you said it was in the 3rd. Todoroki argument. An evil grin appeared on Izuku's face. And you believed me. Why would I tell you where it was except to lead you to a trap? Everyone was in silence, as they understood that from the very beginning, the hero team had lost. All this time Izuku was toying with them. How's that legal? Jiro complained to her teacher. It's a possibility if you take young Yaoirozu's quirk into consideration. They also asked for permission beforehand. Ichi explained. This is why he's so terrifying. It's not his quirk, but his mind you should be wary of. Hijiro concluded. Hey, I always wondered what he did to you to fear him so much. Mina asked her horn buddy. During a spar, I told him to take it seriously. So, he attacked the only place I didn't harden. And that place was the pink girl asked, her curiosity reaching its peak. The others were in the same position. Iridid looked at the floor in shame, the trauma visible in his face. My asshole, he confessed. Everyone covered their mouths, not due to shock or pity, but to prevent their laughter from bursting free. Come again? How? Mina wasn't doing that great either. Have you watched Naruto? Kirishima asked. Yeah, oh, she got it. After that furtive attack, I lost my temper and he just pummeling me. He continued. That day I lost a little of my manliness, but I learned a valuable lesson. Never leave your asshole unprotected. And that did it. Everyone began to laugh uncontrollably. Ejiro laughed with them. Laugh now, but if you ever go against him, be wary if he gets behind you. That also goes for the girls. Everyone went quiet. After what they witnessed today, they believed him. Let's go back with everyone to get your critique. All Might appears next to Bakugo. The ash blonde didn't respond. Just give me a second, Izuku said, putting Momo on the floor. Wait a sec while I get my briefcase. When he walked away, Momo saw it, her eyes widening in horror as he saw the nasty burn on Midoriya's back. Part of his bodysuit was gone too. Midoriya. Just wait, I got something for you. He continued with his task. But your back, as she shouted. Ah, just a little price to pay for your safety, don't mind it that much. He came back with his item and opened it. Here, it'll help with the pain. He gave her painkillers and anti-inflammatories with a little bottle of water. Your briefcase is the first aid kit. He finished for her. I want to give anyone in need the time to get to the hospital if the opportunity ever presents itself. But the chocolate. The great anti-stress to soothe anyone in distress. He smiled. Ah, let me get my portable airbag and we're good to go. He walked away again. The person who made my equipment makes me carry 4 of these at any time, just in case I fall from very high up. I think it's an exaggeration though. He explained. With his kimono on and the first aid kit on his tail, he carried Momo to the control room. Very well. Who can tell who was the MVP and why the symbol of peace, asked his students. Yes. Momo raised her hand. Now that she had calmed down, she was back to her normal self. Me too, Midoriya spoke, with his tail high in the air. Their faces were serious, but the fact that Momo was still being carried by Izuku took the seriousness away. I was hoping that someone else outside of the participants would answer, but go ahead you two. He allowed them to continue, assuming they reached the same conclusion. The MVP obviously was the duo talked at the same time. Midoriya Yaoi Rozu. And then they said the name of their partner. They looked at each other with a frown on their faces. You were the MVP, you dealt with Bakugo and Todoroki for most of the time, and you also came with a better plan, Yaoi Rozu explained, standing her ground. No. Without the usage of your quirk, we would have lost, you're the key factor in this exercise. You also stay to defend the counterfeit to make it more realistic. Staying to defend is a simpler and more effective course of action. He did the same. No, I disagree. You went ahead to gain us time, and you even got the upper hand against 2 people, while I couldn't handle Todoroki by myself. She continued, not backing out. I'll have you know that you did a splendid job holding Todoroki while I got there. And if it wasn't because of me and how much I pushed them, Bakugo would have never had that last explosion. Izuku wasn't backing away either. If it wasn't because she was in his arms, all of this would have looked a lot more serious. So, these two fight because the other doesn't want to take the credit, the rest of the class thought. Aren't they too precious? They came to a shocking revelation. Okay, calm down. How about you both get the MVP? Nervous All Might tried to settle their quarrel. They looked at each other and then HMPH. They looked away with a pout. Stop being cute, god damn it, the class thought with mixed feelings in their heads. Stare, it was at that moment Momo felt the stares of the other girls piercing her. Well, what? She asked nervously. Aren't you awfully comfortable there? Mina asked with an accusatory look. Yaoi Rozu blushed, getting self-conscious about her situation. I can't help it. Midoriya won't let me walk by myself. You lucky bastard. Some of the males though. Mineta was the most jealous of them all. That reminds me. We need to go see Recovery Girl. Izuku said as he walked to the door with Momo in his arms. We won't be here to watch the next match, but I think we'll be back for the rest of them. Wait. Todoroki's voice stopped him in his tracks. You could have finished the match from the very beginning, couldn't you? Izuku nodded, surprising everyone. Why didn't you do it? He was confused. Shoto tried it after all, so he couldn't get his reasoning. What would have been the point in that? Izuku answered. Last time I did it I didn't learn anything until I got my ass whooped. Not only that, but would you have learned anything if I just knocked you down? Shoto was in silence. This is a school, and I came to learn how to be a hero, and it should be the same for you. I thought Aizawa sensei left that clear yesterday. They left the room, but not before he glanced at Bakugo. What's his problem? Izuku wondered, never seeing his childhood friend in that depressed state before. So, he didn't finish it from the beginning because he wanted to learn, risking his victory. But he never did because he won from the beginning. Denki tried to summarize. It's so confusing. He's so confusing. He scratched his head in exasperation, his brain hurting in the process. I still think you should have taken the MVP. Momo brought the subject back on their way to the infirmary. We both got it. Why do you keep saying that? Because I was so pathetic. I injured myself by dodging a simple attack and you didn't only keep the pace with them, but you had the upper hand. She explained with a melancholic face. I am supposed to be a recommended student just like you were Todoroki. Do I even deserve to be one? The girl bit her lips in frustration. Stop that. They looked at each other. Mistakes happen. And didn't you hear me when I said why we were here? We're here to learn. Just give it some time and you will become a great hero. He gave her the same tender smile as before. How can you be so sure? Yaoi Rozu wasn't convinced yet. Because your quirk is the most awesome and practical out of everyone in our class. She blushed a little. You're also super smart and have a great sense of justice. He continued, oblivious of the girl's state that was getting redder and redder. Your beauty will probably make you really popular with the civilians, and 2 hands made their way to his mouth, silencing him. I get it. Please stop, it's very embarrassing. She said, trying to hide her tomato face, even though it was impossible. They walked in silence for a little. And you're very humble for someone of your status, making you super approachable. He finished when she lowered her guard. What did I say? She raised her voice while she hit his chest repeatedly with the side of her fists. But it was so light that only made him chuckle. She let out an exasperated sigh. Geez, the blush in her face refused to fade away. Her heart pounding profusely inside her chest. I know it was an act, but you sounded very convincing back then, after the explosion. Well, that might be because I wasn't acting when I said what I said. That surprised her. So, if you ever need to rely on someone, I'm always here. After another blush settled down, a smile sprouted on her face as she rested her head against his chest. You're honestly too dangerous for women. She thought about the last part. What? Izuku was very confused. Ah. Sorry. Did I hurt you with one of my claws? He entered full panic mode, jumping to conclusions. She just laughed at him, confusing him even more. It was just like the first time they met. A good laugh was all she needed. After a short period of time and a good scolding from recovery girl for always getting hurt, the duo was back at the control room. You two are back. Good, the next match is about to start. All Might greeted them. Izuku looked at the screens. It was Ijiro and Mineta as the heroes against Uraraka and Iida as the villains. Hey Midori. Mina approached him. Who do you think is going to win? I'm betting on Kirishima. She pointed at herself with a smile. Ijiro is strong, but the fact that Acha-chan is on the other team just renders him useless. He said. Why? She asked again. Let's see it. You'll find out soon. The girl tilted her head in wonder while Midoriya spared another glance at Kitsuki. Seriously, what's his deal? The match began, but nothing happened right away. The villain team decided to stay with the bomb and defend. The hero team would have had a hard time finding the room with the bomb if it wasn't for Uraraka's laughter due to Iida's horrible villain acting. Okay, what do we do? Mineta asked his partner, whispering. I have a plan. The Redeed responded. Oh, as expected of Midoriya's friend. What's the plan? The midget inquired. Ijiro just grabbed Mineta with one hand and ran inside. Catch the bomb. Kirishima threw the little man towards their objective. This isn't a plan. Minoru exclaimed as he flew, crying. Enya, having quick reflexes, moved the bomb away with his high speed. Phew! Mineta screamed as he missed, falling face first. Ijiro, noticing that his plan didn't work, went for plan B. A manly rush to the bomb, disregarding any common sense whatsoever, planning to take down anyone who stepped in his way. Unfortunately, what got in his way was Uraraka, who stopped him in his tracks without doing anything. Uraraka, out of my way. I'm not going to hit a woman. That's unmanly. Ijiro exclaimed. I knew it. She shouted, whispered in excitement. She had tried to think like Deku-kun, and it paid off. Bushido said as a sweat drop ran down her temple. I get it now. She didn't need to hear it to understand what was happening. Ichako just touched him, immobilizing the AFO successor as he hit the ceiling. No matter how much he struggled, he couldn't move from that spot. But now, genius. Mineta yelled while he was being cornered by Iida. You foolish heroes thought you could defeat me, Iida mocked his terrible acting. Uraraka tried to contain her laughter as she walked to her partner to finish the match. Shit. Izuku makes all of this look so easy, Ijiro thought, entering panic mode. There's only one way. He readied his right arm, hardening while applying one for all into it. Get ready. He yelled as he swung downward. The air pressure made a hole in the ground and then trespassed the floors beneath. Uraraka and Iida screamed in fear, forgetting for a moment the midget. Holy shit. This is what he meant. Mineta thought. When the wind settled down, the little guy made a run for the bomb. I won't let you. Tenya exclaimed, however when he attempted to move, he found himself stuck to the ground. Multiple purple balls were bounding him to the floor. Uraraka. He called his partner. She didn't think twice before she started running behind the little pervert. Mineta screamed as he dropped more balls behind him, making the job harder for his chaser. Finally, he jumped and hugged the bomb. Uraraka grabbed him, trying her hardest to pull him away. She had 3 seconds. But the little guy had used his quirk to stick himself to the weapon. Aha! A girl is trying to grab me. Do it more. He exclaimed with a perverted face, forgetting that his head was bleeding. Ichako cringed, releasing him immediately. Hero team wins. All Might ended the match. Now get back here. Except you, young Kirishima. You go to the infirmary immediately. The arm of his successor was broken after all. He still needs better control, but at least it doesn't look as bad as the one from the entrance exam. Meanwhile, Izuku was paying attention to Bakugo, who was biting his lips in frustration. The 3 students came back. So, again. Who was the MVP? The teacher asked. And again, the first ones to raise their hands were Momo and Izuku. Are they going to fight again? Their classmates wondered. They looked at each other. It's Iida, right? Izuku asked the rich girl. MHM? She nodded. What? Not Kirishima or Mineta, even though they won? Sato asked. The other students shared his opinion. Tenya was surprised that they thought so highly of him. Ejiro-kun didn't have a proper plan and was handled easily by Owacha-chan. He also injured himself. His last attack was also very dangerous not only to his teammate and opponents, but that was very close to the weapon. If it was a real one, he could have endangered many lives. Izuku explained. Saying that embarrassing nickname was harder when Ichako was around. Uraraka-san gave away their position by laughing and didn't take the exercise seriously enough. She should have also used the capturing tape on Kirishima when she neutralized him, but because she didn't, he was free to use his quirk. Momo continued after her partner. Mineta freaked out in the middle of the fight. If it wasn't because Ejiro intervened, he would have been captured. Their communication wasn't the best either. If I was to put what happened into words, I'd say they were lucky. You shouldn't rely on luck when it comes to saving lives. Izuku finished his part. Iida, though he made a few mistakes, he was the one who took it more seriously, always focusing on keeping the weapon safe, knowing the battle would be around it. He got caught off guard by that last desperate attack, unfortunately. But with all of this, he's the one who did the best. Yaoirozu finished. Holy crap, these two. They said it all. I don't think I can win against their combo. All Might was trembling nervously. Correct answer. The matches continued. While one of them took place, Mineta approached Midoriya. Hey, Midoriya, PST, PST, PST. He whispered. I'm not an actual cat, don't call me that, Izuku answered, a little annoyed. Yes, you are. Nico intervened. They didn't know that yet, but Izuku responded to her. What do you want? I want details. The midget spoke. Of what? Hagakure, of course. You saw her. Give me the juicy details. Be a pal. The purple boy let out his intentions. So, you want to know, huh? Yes. Everything? Yes. He was getting excited. Then see it for yourself, Midoriya answered with an evil grin on his face. I can't. Minoru screamed, grabbing Izuku's kimono in desperation. Not my problem. Izuku decided to ignore him. By the way, I think you just became enemy number 1 for the girls. Izuku informed me while pointing over his shoulder with his thumb. There were the 6 girls, glaring at Mineta while hugging Hagakure protectively. Thanks to Jiro's super hearing they knew it all. And I know you can't see it, but Hagakure is literally killing you with her glare, Izuku announced. He could only see her face because she was using the mantle of before to cover herself whenever Izuku was around. And of course, Midoriya had left the room when Hagakure's match came. Minoru was sweating profusely, fearing for his life. The trial of battle finally ended and they were outside now. During the matches, the catboy had to pay attention to his explosive bully, not so explosive now. Excellent work. Apart from young Kirishima, there were no big injuries. You all did wonderfully, All Might congratulated, then glanced at Kitsuki. Bakugo, my boy, is a clump of self-confidence. An inflated heart is a fragile one. As a teacher, I need to give him some counseling right away. But at the moment he coughed into his hand, covering his blood from his students. Wow, it took me so long to figure you out. Everyone turned to look at Midoriya in curiosity. Hey, Bakugo, how does it feel to lose before me? A cocky grin plastered on his face. Everyone became worried. Why was he doing such a thing? What do you want, Deku? Kitsuki answered in a cold tone. Wow, it's that bad that you don't even yell or curse, huh? God, you're pathetic. Bakugo clenched his fists and gritted his teeth. Hey, bro. That's a little too much. Kirishima tried to stop him. Young Midoriya, that's enough. The symbol of peace put his hand over his shoulder, however, it was immediately slapped away, surprising everyone. All Might, be quiet. Everyone wondered what got into him. This wasn't the kind Midoriya they knew. So, you thought you were always going to be the big fish, but now a reality check slapped you right in the face. You don't even know what to do. God, all of this would be easier if you knew how to properly talk, but all you do is yell and insult. Izuku continued with his harsh words. Do you really think a real hero does what you do? Does a hero forget their mission just for a stupid grudge against his childhood friend? Does a real hero blow his quirk next to a fucking bomb, endangering many lives? What the hell? And you want to surpass All Might like this? An egocentric asshole who thinks he's the protagonist of the world and that everything is going to be given to you on a silver plate just because I'm more awesome than everyone else. Don't make me laugh. Izuku was now in front of Katsuki. The ash blonde threw a punch, but it was caught effortlessly. You're harsh against everyone, but you're even more harsh against yourself. Not knowing how to properly communicate what you feel and end with the wrong answer and with zero progress. His tone changed from one of anger to one of pity. Because a hero never loses, that's what you said when watching All Might saving people. Well, I got news for you. There isn't a hero who hasn't lost in their life. The meaning of that last statement hit hard because it implied that not even All Might was invisible. But that's fine. Because you can learn a lot more from a defeat, so in the future you can be better. But if you cannot even see that, then you're just a Deku. Katsuki's eyes widened. The weight of that last word coming from his mouth was the last jab. His mouth was open, but no words came out of it. The little group of yesterday also knew how hard it was to hit Bakugo. Izuku walked away, done with him. Young Midoriya, see me after class. We need to talk. That was an order, as a teacher. The catboy turned his head with an innocent and refreshed smile. Of course, sir. The bell rang, signaling the end of the day. While everyone was packing their things up, Mineta approached Midoriya again. Hey, Midoriya. I'm not telling you anything about Hagakure, no matter what you offer, Izuku answered with a derogatory look. No, it's not that. Then? I want to know your secret, the midget said with a serious face. Secret for what? That caught him off guard. How are you so damn popular with girls? Minoru hit the desk to give it more dramatism. What? Okay, he lost him. Don't play dumb. You're trying to make a harem for you, aren't you? The way you act with Yaoi Rozu, that stupidly cute nickname for Uraraka. This is the second day, and you already got a marriage proposal from Hagakure. It's plenty obvious. Izuku was in shock, his brain was failing him. He didn't know if it was a good or bad thing that they were the last people in the classroom by now. I honestly don't know what you're talking about, the catboy responded. You liar, Minoru insisted. No, I'm serious about this. I won't deny that the prospect of a girlfriend isn't appealing. But I've never had those intentions or motives. My only focus right now is to be a great hero and follow the path I have chosen. Izuku clarified. By the way, Mineta-kun. I risked it for you yesterday. Even though it was a lie, now that I know a little bit more about you, I want to know what your intentions are. What are you aiming for by assisting the UA? Now he was on the offensive. It was him who was caught off guard this time. I want to be a super cool hero. Why? Izuku wasn't satisfied with just that. So, everyone admires me, and all the girls will fall for me. Isn't it great, he said, shamelessly with a blush in his face. He's an idiot, Nico said. He's an idiot. Izuku thought. He's an idiot. Kyoka, who was behind the wall, listening in case that Mineta tried something, or that maybe Midoriya showed his true colors due to being alone, thought. Listen, Mineta. I'm going to be honest with you, just like I was with Bakugo. Midoriya spoke with a stern face. Does a super cool hero say something like that? Do you see All Might trying to get women just because he's the #1 hero? No, at least he wasn't that naive. Being a hero doesn't make you cool. You're cool because you're a hero. Or that's what I think. Mineta was in silence. Mineta-kun. Being a hero won't be pretty, nor will it be easy. You put yourself in danger for the sake of others. And being cool is just for the best of the best. That's honestly a very hard dream to achieve. Izuku stood up with his backpack ready. If you're not up for the task and you're going to freak out in a moment of need, you should probably quit. That shook Minoru's mind. I know it's bad coming from the person that said that they wanted to protect your dream, but you're going to put yourself and others in danger if you continue like this. Izuku walked away, feeling bad for the little fellow. The catboy didn't make it far before he was grabbed by his jacket. Then teach me how to be a super cool hero, Mineta said without looking at his face. Izuku smiled. It's going to be hard. And you'll probably want to quit. It's fine, you'll put me back on track. Alright, then from tomorrow onwards, we'll train after class, okay? he informed the purple guy. Every day. Minoru had a worried face. Izuku just gave him the look of I knew you'd quit. It's okay. I'll try my best. He corrected himself in a hurry. Smile then let's go. He waited for the little guy. Hey, on an unrelated note. Who do you think it's the prettiest girl in the classroom? The midget was back to being himself, though it looked that he restrained himself a little with his words. Hagakure probably. Jiro-san, it's pretty cute too. Izuku actually answered. Jiro? No. She lacks too much in the bus department. Yaoi Rozu is definitely on the top. You don't get it. It's because of that Jiro is the cutest one, lewd thoughts don't come to your mind and you just want to protect her. Izuku stood his ground. Well, if you say so, Mineta decided not to argue with him. I'm actually surprised you answered. Well, I'm a male after all. They left. Behind a corner, Kyoka was covering her red face with both hands. She was angry at Mineta and embarrassed by Midoriya's comment. Idiots. Izawa was already trying to sleep when the door of the teacher's room swung open, revealing the problem with the cat child. Izuku had already departed from Minoru because he had things to do. Aizawa-sensei. Shota let out a sigh, unzipping his sleeping bag. I just came to inform you we won't train today, I have some plans. With a satisfied smile, Shota zipped the sleeping bag back up. By the way, where's All Might? Next room, my kitten. Midnight answered with a smile. Izuku thanked her and left. Come back so we can spend quality time together. He heard her behind the door. Even if you did it for a good cause. Don't you think you went a little too far, young Midoriya? Small Might had his arm crossed. That was pretty mild if you ask me, Izuku answered with an innocent face. Mild, you say? Yagi sweat dropped. Nothing will get through his thick skull if you're not remotely close to his level. And if I didn't say anything at that moment, later he'd lash out and not listen to anything. That's Bakugo for you. He shrugged. Even though the other could change the way they think of you? Pretty cheap, don't you think? He wasn't worried at all. Sigh, you're an odd one, my boy. But, as long as you get it, I'll leave it that way. Hopefully, you reached him. Toshinori smiled. By the way, I wanted to ask for a while what's happening to your tail. He pointed at it. Izuku let out an exasperated sigh, seeing the green ember before coming from it. Don't mind it, please. He begged as he stood up, walking to the door. Give me a moment. He opened the door. Come. All Might stood up. Not you, Yogi-san. That confused the adult. Now outside, Izuku massaged the bridge of his nose. So, you can see me, huh? A feminine voice said. Yeah. He answered. Why can I do that anyway? Well, since that day with the little girl, this power has been getting a little more powerful. But I guess it's because she has a strong will for her to be so clear. Nico answered his doubts. Well, it should be obvious with the ember, but this doesn't consume much of your vital energy. Just don't get crazy with it. Oh man, that's so awesome. You have no idea how lonely it is to be a spirit. The excited voice came from a floating beautiful woman with short black hair, fair skin, and a voluptuous yet muscular body. She was wearing a dark, sleeveless bodysuit with a high collar, yellow elbow-length gloves, and white knee-high boots. Around her waist was a belt with an angular golden buckle, a small cape attached around the back which hung down to her knees, and over her shoulders was a longer cape, buttoned to the shoulders of her bodysuit. Hey. Let's talk for a while. My name is Nana Shimura. The former 7th user of One for All, and master of the One and Only All Might. Nice to meet you, Midoriya. She introduced herself, her smile was playful yet mature. Though she was sitting in the air, upside down. Yeah, nice to meet you too. So, that's why you're always around him? He inquired. Well, I don't have anything else to do than to watch over him. But I sometimes get bored and take a stroll around. She answered. But with you, now I can go and talk to you to kill the time. You'll hear me, right? Of course, you'll do it, you're a hero after all. Yeah, by the way, do I tell him about you? Nah, don't do it. He blames himself for my death, knowing that I'm still around will just give him more troubles, like, my master can't even rest, I'm a failure or something like that, and get depressed. Nana dismissed the idea. Hey. Want to hear how society was before Tashi came around? And just like that, Izuku's life got a little more interesting. After a short chat with Nana and checking on Mei, who decided to stay in the workshop for another day, Izuku decided to leave. Sorry, did I make you wait too much? The catboy asked with an apologetic smile. Don't worry. I called you out of the blue anyway. Death Arms responded, he was chilling on his bike. Shall we get going? The catboy got on the bike and they were off. We'll go to your house first so you can change your uniform. The pro hero informed me. After he changed and notified his mother about his plans for today, they were off again towards their destination. Where are we going anyway? Izuku finally asked the question that had been bothering him. We're going to a mental institute. The big guy answered. I've been doing a lot of community service recently, so they hit me up. It's their anniversary or something, so they wanted to do something special. They thought that if the patients met pro heroes, it could make their day or even help them somehow. I couldn't say no. That sounds awesome. I respect you even more now, Izuku said with a chuckle. What? You didn't respect me before. The catboy just laughed harder. He was just playing with him. Whatever. To tell you the truth, it's not that we lack personnel. There are other agencies involved. You're here because you can help with a little problem. Don't worry, I'm honored you thought of me for this. Whatever it is, leave it to me. In the mental institute. Okay, everyone got their patient you're going to meet today. Death Arm said to all the heroes there. He just handed a sheet to everyone that had the information of the designated patient. Let's make their day. Izuku raised his hand. Sup, Midoriya. Mine says that the patient doesn't want to meet a hero. He told me. Isn't it convenient that you aren't one? The pro hero smirked. So that's why I'm here. Izuku realized as he shared the same smirk. But what should I do? Make them laugh or smile? That's a win in my book. If you are up to the challenge, then try to help them do something they are against, but it would be good for their health. Baby steps, please. We don't want to cause more damage, understand? Everyone nodded and departed to make a new friend. Before Izuku moved, he read the name of the patient again. It's this a cruel joke from Destiny or something? He arrived at the room and knocked on the door. Who's there? A female voice came from the other side. Ma'am, I'm here for the hero's day. Let's be friends. He mustered the most charismatic and less threatening tone possible. I said I didn't want to see any hero. The response was as expected. I'm not a hero. Just some high schooler came to help. There was an awkward silence. The door opened a little, revealing a brown-gray eye and snow-white hair looking at him. He gave her his best smile. Sorry, please enter. The woman opened the door completely. Thanks. He entered. There was a plate next to the door that displayed the name of the patient. The Red Ray Todoroki. Now in the room, he sat on a chair and the woman on the bed. So, let me introduce myself. I'm Izuku Midoriya, nice to meet you, Todoroki-san. He said in a cheerful tone. Please just Ray. Her face was hurtful. Of course, Ray-san. He already knew some of her reasons to be here, not the full story though. But look at my modals. Let me make you some tea, or do you want coffee? She got up and went to the little kitchen inside the room. Tea, it's okay, thanks. She began to boil the herbs. You sounded like my mother for a second there. Ray froze for a second, afraid of the teapot for some reason. Ah, sorry. I said something bad, didn't I? He was quick to notice. No, don't worry, it's just she returned to the bed while they waited for the tea. I have a son, he's probably your age by now. Had. He remarked on the word. She nodded. I did something horrible to him. He must hate me and probably will never forgive me. I wouldn't. Have you talked to him? Ray shook her head. It's for the best. But you don't know if he hates you. He may still love you. He tried to give her hope. No, I don't think I could endure his words if he hated me. Let's just leave it there, please. She gave him an awkward smile. He nodded, pressing forward could be very bad. So, what do you do here? Oh, I just watch the world go by with some tea and a book. She smiled, tilting her head cutely, glad that the conversation turned to a normal subject. Hey, that's great. What book do you read? They had a pleasant conversation for a while, with some tea and cookies. Izuku looked through the window. Beautiful afternoon, right? Ray nodded, comfortable with his presence now. How about we go outside and see the sunset? It must be pretty. He attacked now. Ray was afraid of going outside, she'd never left her room, and the workers here were trying to make her go outside with no success until now. This was what Izuku wanted to do. No, 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 I can't go outside. She negated with a worried and a paler than usual face. Why not? He tilted his head. I may be outside. She said in a fearful tone. Your son? She shook her head. Then she had to be talking about her husband. He read a little about it in the sheet. Then who? Why are you so afraid of him? He wanted to hear it from her. She shook her head profusely. Can't say it. Won't say it. It's a secret. Then if I tell you a secret of mine, would you tell me yours? He wasn't gonna let her escape this time. She needed to be open about it to start a recovery, he thought. There's no way you have a secret of the same valor. She said a little mad, making a little pout. Izuku perked up at her words. Wanna bet? He got her attention. Did you know that I was born quirkless? That surprised her. What but your ears and tail? Oh, this is our quirk. Our? She remarked on the word, just like he did previously. Izuku took a deep breath as a melancholic smile appeared on his face. Let me tell you how I got my quirk. He figured he should trade something of the same caliber. At the end of it, Rei was crying and Izuku was wiping away his tears. It felt good to get it out of my heart. If he closed his eyes, he could see the happy smile of Nico. So will you tell me? I guess sorry, but I still can't. It's just that I see an apostrophe T. She cried like a baby. It was adorable for some reason. Then let's go outside instead. He didn't let the opportunity slip. But I just told you. I'll protect you. He interrupted her. Whatever is outside, I'll protect you from it. I'm very strong, you know. I'll keep you safe. He bumped his chest with a confident smile. But oh okay, she finally gave in, feeling that she should trust him on this. Izuku walked to the door, but soon noticed that he wasn't being followed. Looking back, he saw Rei trembling in her spot. He walked back to her. Give me your hands, I want to try something. What? They grabbed hands. I'll try to take it away. That confused her until she heard a prrrrrrrr. He began to purr as he smiled with his eyes closed. The mother felt a warm and cozy sensation beginning to spread out through her body, replacing her nervousness and fear. Let's go. They were outside walking through the courtyard. Rei refused to let go of his hand, thinking something bad may happen if she did so. See? There's nothing bad out here. He reassured her. She looked at everything in wonder like a kid, unable to remember when was the last time she went outside. They found a nice bench to see the last bit of the sunset. Pretty, she whispered. Told you. They stood there in silence. It wasn't awkward, it just felt right. Midoriya-kun, Rei called him. Izuku is fine. I'm calling you for your first name anyway. He corrected her. Not Izuku-kun, can you hear me out and please keep it a secret. She decided to open up and the catboy gave her all his attention. They were back in the room, the visit would be over soon. Thanks for everything. Rei. Todoroki smiled without any worries for the first time in many years. Too soon to thank me, Rei-san. She tilted her head in confusion. What else could he do for her? I'll definitely make him come and see you. You can thank me then. Who? She feared a little for whatever he could say next. Shoto, of course. Her eyes widened. I never told you who he was, how did you? She was lost for words. The classmate of mine has the same last name, a scar on his face. She tensed up at that. It makes him look very cool though. That didn't make it any less painful. Should I bring Natsuo and Fayumi too? He was starting to scare her. How? I met them some time ago. You all have the same smell. They visit me from time to time. She said, calming down. And that's why I have to bring Shoto. He said that more to himself than anyone else. He wants to be a hero, but hasn't even tried to save his own mother. That's just not right. Then I'll be ready when that time comes. She was still too nervous, but decided to do her best. I'm going now, I'll come in another time. He walked to the door. Yes. Rei saw him off with a smile. When the door closed, Izuku rested against it, fearing he may fall on his knees. He contemplated the ceiling as he let out a sigh. What am I going to do when I see Endeavor? One part of him wanted to jump and tear him apart, the other wanted to deal with it civilly. Are you sure you don't want me to take you to your home? Death Arms asked the catboy. Yeah, I have something in my mind and I want to be alone to think about it. I'll just take the train, don't worry. Just don't run into trouble, K. The pro mounted his bike. There's a possibility of Toga running into me, Izuku thought. If that happens, I'll just run away from her. He walked away waving his hand. What? That confused the pro. There isn't only Endeavor. But how am I going to make Todoroki-kun come to see his mother? He was wandering around. What a day. You can say it again, Nico responded. You know, I'm surprised I walked away from Bakugo's explosion with just a burn. He wondered and Nico began to whistle. That's the worst thing you can do if you want to keep a secret. He felt how the feline inside him flinched. Whatever you did, thanks. If she didn't want to tell him, he wouldn't press her to do so. Midoriya. Izuku looked to the side, and the door of a convenience store was one of his classmates, with groceries in her hands. Sai-chan. As soon as he said her name, two small silhouettes ran from behind her in his direction. Big bro. The little kids shouted in excitement. Ah. Samador. Satsuki. Izuku crouched with open arms. The little tadpoles collide with him like two mini wrecking balls, knocking him down on his butt. Hey, Samador, Satsuki. Sayu called her siblings, a little mad at their behavior. Yet they didn't listen, they were laughing too hard with their big brother. Why do they only act like this with Midoriya? She was a little irritated and maybe a little jealous. Her brother, let's play. Let's play. Satsuki requested with excitement. Hey big bro, I want to show you my bug collection, it's so awesome. Sameter, even though he didn't show it in his face, his tone betrayed his excitement. Please, stop that, you two. It's late and Midoriya it's probably busy. Sayu came as the voice of reason. I would love to, but that's not up to me to decide. Izuku ignored her words as he gave her a sly grin. The little sibling turned to her with puppy eyes ready, Satsuki even had some tears in her eyes. Sayu took a step back, their power was too much for her. Yay. Big brother is home. Satsuki ran to her room to prepare everything to play. I'm gonna get my bug collection. Sameter did the same. Sayu let out an exasperated sigh, she could never win against her siblings. The frog girl squinted her eyes at his classmate. That was very irresponsible. Even though I said they wanted to see you, we have school tomorrow. She scolded him. Don't worry about it. This is just what I needed. Forgive me for the trouble. He gave her an apologetic smile. Welcome to the Asui household, Ribbit. There wasn't anything else she could do about it. Your parents aren't home? He asked the first thing he noticed. They work for our sake, so they spend most of their time at work. She explained as she went to the kitchen to set the groceries. So, you take care of your siblings. She nodded. What? You got awfully quiet just now. Sayu said a little nervous. No, I was just thinking. Sayu-chan is so mature, it's like an adult. That's all. He smiled proudly at her. The girl grunted as a little blush appeared on her face. While she prepared dinner, Izuku went to play with the siblings. Time passed. Until the catboy took a glance at the clock. Oof, it's already so late, time flies when you're having fun. I should get going. Izuku got up. Hey, do you have to go, big brother? Satsuki asked, saddened by his departure. Sayu looked at the clock. The last train passed in 5 minutes, Ribbit. Come again. Izuku looked at her in shock. He could run and get in time, but that will be illegal quirk usage if he moves faster than a normal person. I guess I'm staying the night at a 24-hour cyber cafe. Don't be unreasonable. You can stay here. Sayu said. Yay. Big brother is going to stay. Satsuki shot her hand in the air, victorious. No, don't worry. I don't want to be a nuisance. I'll go, Midoriya insisted. Not yay, Sameter commented, depressed. It's impossible for you to be a nuisance. You'll stay. I'm going to prepare for the bath. Her authoritarian tone left no margin of discussion. Yay. Both siblings screamed. They dragged him away to continue their game. When Sayu returned, she was surprised to find both energetic siblings sleeping, using Izuku's lap as pillows. The catboy was softly stroking their hair. They're still children, they need to rest. He whispered, stating the obvious. Sayu took her little sister and Izuku took Sameter to their respective rooms. The two classmates stood alone in the living room, in silence. Thank you for putting up with their demands. She bowed a little. Go take a bath while the water is warm. The frog girl was about to walk away when something stopped her. Izuku had begun to pat her head out of the blue. Sayu-chan sure is strong, huh? The girl didn't know what to do or say. Growing up faster than others for the sake of your sibling is admirable, but don't you miss a lot because of that? Midoriya. Hey, I'll be the big brother, so at least he pointed at himself. Be more selfish with me. He smiled brightly at her. Though if you dislike it then I'll never speak of something like this ever again. So, this is why Sameter and Satsuki acted differently with Midoriya. They were being selfish, they restrained themselves with her to not give her any trouble. Izuku took his hand off her head, taking her silence as a negative. Sorry, I overstepped my boundaries. She grabbed his arm tenderly with both hands and then placed it back on her head. I don't dislike it, so do it more, Ribbit. She tried to hide her blush by looking down. Izuku smiled as he patted her more. What a good girl. Izuku came out of the bath wearing some of the clothes of her dad. She said he wouldn't mind. Then, I'll sleep on the couch, Izuku announced. I can't let you do that. There has to be something better. Sayu rejected the idea. Then, do you have a big cardboard box? The frog girl didn't know if he was talking seriously or if it was a joke. And no. She answered, unsure. Then, the couch is the second best option. Go take a bath and then go to bed, we have school tomorrow. He pushed her lightly to the bathroom. Sayu came out after her bath, already in her pajamas. Midoriya good night she came to a halt when she found him already fast asleep on the couch. He didn't even have a blanket. Alright, I forgot to give him one. After a minute she came with the warmest one and covered him with it carefully to not wake him up. After the deed was done, Asui stood there, staring at the sleeping kitten. Be more selfish with me. His words played again in her head. A little blush sprouted in her cheeks. Izuku grunted, waking up. Where am I? Right, Sayu's home. He looked at the clock, it was early in the morning, but at least the train was already functioning. He also told his mother before going to sleep, so there shouldn't be any problem in his home. I guess I should get going. I'll try to not wake someone up. However, when he tried to sit up, an extra weight prevented him from doing so. He looked down. I know I said she could be selfish, but isn't this a little too fast? On top of him was his frog girl classmate, sleeping soundly with her head on his chest. She looked so cute and tranquil that he realized something. I can't move. He couldn't dare to disturb her. But if I don't go now, I'm going to be late for school. He took another look at her sleeping face. Well, whatever, I guess I should think of an excuse for Aizawa-sensei. Thanks for watching my video, and make sure to check out the author of this fanfic, link is in the description. See you next time, till then sayonara.